You're listening to the Legion of Reason.
Well, welcome to this, the 187th episode of the Legion of Reason Diversion. In this week's episode, I have with me the constantly triggered Twyla. We're hopefully later... Not for this episode. For this episode, you are the constantly triggered Twyla. And hopefully in a few minutes, we'll be joined by the internally misogynized Christine. And I am the supremely bigoted, irreverent Dr. Randy Tyson. Welcome once again. Today we have the trial of a Calgary woman accused of failing to provide the necessaries of life for her son because of her distrust of modern medicine. That trial began this past week. The trial of a bountiful British Columbia fundamentalist LDS group. They're charged with removing their daughters from Canada for sexual purposes in 2004. That trial has been going on in Cranbrook for the last 2 weeks. Excuse me. And we take a look at some of the revelations from their diaries that were introduced as evidence. Two Winnipeg faith-based hospitals announced that they will violate patient rights and not allow medical aid in dying to those who request it, and this is with the permission of the Manitoba government. And on the Regressive Left Files, we have a story of one of the greatest cases of Poe's Law ever. Absolutely fantastic. My hat's off to this gentleman, and he suckered in the Guardian wonderfully. What else we got? We got a couple other things. I'm just trying to remember what we got going on here. If we get time, we'll talk a little bit about the death of Fidel Castro. But in the meantime, I guess we could start with the current trial going on here. Let me get the page up. Where is it now? This is complicated business. The trial. Here we go. Yeah, all he needed was antibiotics. A boy who died from strep lived in squalor. This is CTV News. And a 7-year-old boy who died from a strep infection 3 years ago and was just treated with dandelion tea and oil of oregano. All he needed to, to cure him was some antibiotics. And mother of Ryan Alexander Lovett, Tamara Lovett, she's 47 and is charged with failing to provide the necessaries of life and with criminal negligence causing the death of her son. So an autopsy revealed that the boy had contracted Group A streptococcus infection and pneumonia and eventually died from basically all his major organs shut down. So in the opening arguments, the prosecutor stated that Lovett would not take the boy to a doctor. Even though a friend did recommend it the day before, Lovett called 911, and she did not believe in conventional medicine or doctors. Unfortunately, by the time she called 911, it was too late. And I think, is it Christine back? Is Christine back in here? Let's get Christine in here. Yes, she is. There we go. So Christine is here. She's has to answer. Ring one ringy-dingy. Two ringy-dingies. There we go.
There we go.
Hello.
Hi.
Well, good.
I'm going to put myself on mute for a bit because I've got the furnace running and all that stuff, so I apologize.
All right,
cold weather.
No problem. My voice is going tonight.
Have you guys started?
We just started. We're talking about the Lovett case, that the trial going on downtown, and so just going over. Sure.
Sorry. Okay, thanks. Carry on.
Yep. Yeah, it's some of the stuff that's been coming out of here. Like they recorded Tamara Lovett her interview with the police, and yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, she was obviously upset, but my goodness, take the kid to a doctor. She said, "Oh God, my poor little boy." In an interview with police after hours, hours after he died at the Alberta Children's Hospital, and she said, "It's just flashing back. Why is this going on? I'm a failure. You do everything you can for your kids." Well, I beg to differ, but you know, he had these flu-like symptoms, of course, nondescript. Worsened a couple days before his death. He was complaining of pain in his legs. His skin became jaundiced. His urine was dark, and he was having trouble standing. Now, where have we heard that before?
Yeah, well, and the other parts of this, the living in squalor bit, I've been talking to some people, and they feel this is a child abuse case on top of just medical neglect.
Yeah.
So
she was,
and why?
Apparently, she was $3,000 behind in her rent, so she was, not exactly doing well financially. The boy did not have a birth certificate.
And yeah, he didn't attend regular school. So why did she not? Social services was never called, for one, and it makes me wonder how she lived all this time for his 7 years.
Yeah, and it basically hid him from view. So all he got was oil of oregano and what was it, dandelion tea.
Yeah, the other case, the Stefan case, they were trying something
similar. Yeah, this is very, very reminiscent of that, and yeah. So we'll see how this continues on. It's a tragic story that's very preventable.
The thing to really note is that the Alties aren't rallying around her the way they did the Stefans. The Stefans were
the religious community. Part of
Mormon
community.
And they did sell supplements. They're part of that group, and they had a lot of media, as far as social media, to rally around them. Whereas in this case, where the child lived a lot longer than the Stefan child, for goodness sakes. So, yeah. But even more off the grid than the Stefans ever were.
Yeah, they were saying she lived totally off the grid.
So no social services, no doctors, no nothing. How did she live that whole time? Yeah. Obviously, she was behind on her rent.
Yes, $3,000.
What did she do to make money? She didn't sell supplements.
Well, she was I believe, an artist.
So she was trying to sell.
Yeah, she didn't have full-time work because she was caring for Ryan. Whether that means anything, I don't know.
Is he always sick?
But yeah, I don't know. But the person who visited them, who was actually owns the building, came in and saw the child, and he said, I feel really, really bad with myself because I stood there on that last day looking out the window and looking at that kid, and I'm pissed off that this kid's faking it. I'm looking at the kid and I'm saying, why do you want to do this to your mother? Wow, did he ever misread that? The kid's dying. Yeah, the guy thought that he was faking it.
The child is jaundiced and clearly was becoming dehydrated.
Yeah, he was emaciated. Yeah.
Wow.
So very similar.
No wonder people don't do anything. They just the assumptions and then staying out of it. And
yeah, a very tragic case that was never had to happen. We'll see how that goes. You're there, okay. Hi, Christine.
Sorry
by the way, you're the internally misogynized Christine tonight.
Yeah, okay.
Once we get into those stories, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So anything to say on this case, Christine?
Well, I was going to add the Stefans were also part of a faith community, whereas I think, what's that woman? She wasn't, right? So she didn't have that, I guess, community to lobby behind her and that kind of thing. Because you guys were talking about how the natural medicine people weren't, rallying around her. Hey?
No, then in this case, I think they'll stay out of it because there's clearly more child abuse involved.
Yeah. Well, I don't, was it the Stefan Faw that you were quoting, Randy?
No, this was I don't know if he's a landlord or, yeah, must be the landlord or the guy that took care of the place. So he actually saw the Ryan before he died.
Huh.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Yeah, terrible. And when the paramedics got there, they had to call in a second ambulance for some reason. They were having trouble getting equipment in the room. It was kind of a mess. That kind of thing. So somebody who probably has some issues of her own. Well, obviously does.
Yeah.
I don't want to speculate too much, but for someone to be that off the grid, it must have been in fear a lot of just society. I just can't even imagine what that child went through.
Yeah, and probably didn't know what he was going through. I mean, when you're a kid, you just accept everything as normal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, we can move on to this one now. CBC news here, and Jehovah's Witnesses process for handling child sex abuse allegations keeps authorities in the dark. So this was an investigation by a French-Canadian program, Enquête. So Melanie Poirier was 10 when she started taking piano lessons, and it would prove to be an experience that changed her life forever. At that very first lesson, she said her piano teacher sexually assaulted her. It went on for 5 years. So her father is in the next room, has no idea what's going on, just waiting for her lesson to be over. And he would ejaculate in front of her, and sexually assault her, everything. And he was an elder in the Jehovah's Witness, as her own father was an elder in the Jehovah's Witnesses, which is a big problem because, he's basically religious authority. And within the Jehovah's Witness, or, all of the cases of sexual assault of minors goes to the national office of the Watchtower. And there has to be a second witness to what happened, or else they wouldn't even talk about it, especially when it's an elder. So not too many of these ever got beyond hearing it out. And of course, needless to say, none of them have ever, none of these complaints have ever been received by the police. Radio Canada also heard allegations that a 5-year-old boy from Quebec, a Quebec congregation, was made to repeat his story in front of the man he said abused him, which is another part of the process. The boy's mother told Enquête the allegations were dismissed because the child did not have a second witness to the alleged assault. Jeez. And in its investigation, Radio Canada obtained a questionnaire designed to guide Jehovah's Witness elders interviewing children alleging sexual abuse. It includes the question, how many elders believe the victim is to blame or willingly participated in the act? If you can believe it. So all of this stuff is biblical. There must be 2 or 3 eyewitnesses from Deuteronomy. No action can be taken if there is only one witness. It's just from John. In the book of Matthew, if your brother commits a sin, go and reveal his fault between you and him alone. So they basically have to stand in front of the accused and recount things. It's not a good situation. A recent royal commission in Australia found the Jehovah's Witness church there had recorded allegations of child sexual abuse against 1,006 members. Not one allegation was reported to authorities outside the church. In California, let's see if I can find this now. They're supposed to hand over California. Let me see if I can find California. Yeah. Earlier this year, California court ordered the Watchtower Society to submit a database of the alleged pedophiles among its ranks, but the society has yet to do so. So they're balking. So.
That's pretty unbelievable. Well, kind of.
I could believe it. I mean,
yeah.
These are cloistered. I mean, they're religious. Who would possibly, if they're religious, do something like this, right? Of course, the rest of us are like, yeah, any one of you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in positions of authority. It's difficult to get caught. I mean, even if you're caught, there's never going to be another witness. So your chances of actually meeting with justice are pretty much nil. And they never go to the police at all.
No.
And that's got to change.
They have their own internal processes.
Yeah, really. That's how that's worked for them so far.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely no justice for victims. Which do you prefer, victims or survivor? I hate both.
Yeah, I hate both too.
Both have. I was going to say problematic, but I got to stop using that word. I hate that word too. But that's mostly because of some people that we're going to be talking about later.
I usually use it up to the person we're talking about to decide what label, I guess. And in this case, we can't really ask, so.
Yeah.
I guess of the two terms, I prefer survivor, I suppose.
Yeah.
Victim is just too victim-y. I mean, not to say that that's not the reality, but you know, if the purpose is to heal from something, labeling yourself a victim doesn't facilitate that process, I guess.
Yeah, that's the problem I have as well. But survivor is also not right because, you know, like you survive an airplane crash, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know about assault. It's not a good word either. I don't know. Maybe we can come up with a new pronoun.
Yeah, appropriate pronoun for assault.
I don't know.
People that
Well, it wouldn't be a pronoun,
assault,
it'd be just a noun.
They're kind of heroes if they manage to get somewhere with it and get the perpetrator put away.
Mm.
Yeah.
Where to next? We can go to physician-assisted dying. Or
It's such a crazy topic in Canada right now.
It is. Yeah.
I thought, is that becoming part of our Constitution then, or?
No, it's part of the Constitution was used, or not the Constitution, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms was used to strike down the laws that prohibited medical assistance in dying. So it's essentially implied by the Constitution, or I keep wanting to say Constitution, Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and it's a little different than America.
This is law then, they are working on the laws for it. Are these, there should be consequences for not following the law of the land, basically.
Unfortunately, they're doing this under the auspices of the Manitoba government. Now in Canada, health is a national priority. So there's, the Canada Health Act, which governs, that mandates health, but it's administered by the provinces. So it's up to each individual province to administer physician-assisted dying how they see fit. So it's a little complicated, but it's not a bad idea, especially with the country so diverse or geographically diverse as Canada, because every province has different needs, and they, for instance, PEI doesn't have the same problem as northern Manitoba. So Manitoba has a much bigger presence in small communities that are basically only accessible by aircraft.
So what would have to happen is people would need to demand these services within their province.
Yeah, they have to go to the province and say, because especially with the nebulosity of Bill C-14, it doesn't say that, unlike Bill 52 in Quebec, Bill 52 Quebec says, no, you are not opting out. There's no hospital that can opt out. Unfortunately, there's room for that in Bill C-14. And Manitoba has kind of struck a deal with the faith-based institutions. Well, they say here in this article, I should put the article up, by the way. Oh, it is up. That the province said allowing faith-based institutions to opt out is appropriate, whereas I don't think it is, and neither does our friend Arthur Schaefer, who says, quote, it seems profoundly dubious that the religious affiliation of the hospital and of its top administrators and board should be able to prohibit patients from getting a medically mandated legal service. And I completely
Not only
agree.
that, what if it's the only place offering services in the area? Like, if you get sick, you don't usually get to choose which hospital you go to.
Yeah, well, these two hospitals are in Winnipeg. One is a Catholic hospital, that's St. Boniface, and the other is Concordia, which, as people have noted, is odd. It's a Mennonite faith-based hospital.
So what do you got to do when you get sick and someone calls the ambulance? Can you mandate then where you get taken?
Yeah, no, you can't. And this is a big issue. This is what kind of happened in Vancouver. Now, I can't remember the man's name, but he went in for medical tests, fully expecting to come out, went into a Catholic hospital and ended up being diagnosed with a spinal stenosis, which is incredibly painful. And he never came out again, except to go to another hospital by transport. And that's what these hospitals, St. Boniface and Concordia, are planning to do, is that, we're not going to do it here, but we can ship them off somewhere else. But the thing is, if you're in incredible
that amount of pain.
Yes. And you have to be lucid when you make the statement that you wish to access medical assistance and dying services. So it's not a fun.
They prevent you from doing that while you are lucid.
It's terrible. It's wrong. It's just fundamentally wrong.
Yeah.
So there's two more in the mix, and what I want to know is, from the federal government, are you going to take some leadership role here and just say enough's enough? This isn't right.
Yeah.
And that. I keep saying it. Bill C-14 is a horrible bill. It is too vague and it's too restrictive.
Yeah, I agree.
And here's a face. I guess you can't see this, but anybody watching the YouTube channel can see this mug. This is Margaret Somerville, and she was giving a talk. She's the founder of McGill University's Center for Medicine, Ethics, and Law, and she has got to be one of the worst ethicists on the planet. She is saying, this is in the Catholic Register, the world will regret euthanasia spread, bioethicist says. Yeah, you know what?
Was she Mother Teresa?
Oh, she's almost as bad. If she were... Larry Moran, a lot of listeners might know who he is. He's U of T. He used to be. He's retired now. He's a geneticist. And... well, is he a geneticist or he's a biologist? Can't remember. Anyway, we were sitting at a table at INR this year, and he was saying of Margaret Somerville, she pretends to not be Catholic.
Right.
And I think that's exactly the perfect way of putting it. She's clearly strongly influenced by Catholic values, to the point where I'm flabbergasted. I mean, I just don't understand how what she's putting forward could be ethical, but anyway.
Yeah. Just a quick plug for Larry Moran's blog. It's called Sandwalk.
Yes, Sandwalk. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm hoping he's finished his book now. And
cool.
Yeah, he's got a book coming out, a lay science book. And I'll see if he's done. I'm hoping he should be done by now.
Yeah, let's have him on the show when his book launches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if Margaret Somerville says something's bad, you're doing something good. You're on the right track. You are on the right track. That's how bad she is at ethics, at ethicking.
She was in Edmonton.
Yeah, she was in Edmonton giving a talk. And
For what conference?
Providence Renewal Center event sponsored by the Center in Newman Theological College.
Yeah.
She said proponents of traditional values need to find ways to convince supporters of progressive values to reject practices such as euthanasia. Triggered.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. No, you're not going to do it.
Just going to bring us out more, and we're just going to fight more.
They're just dinosaurs waiting for the asteroid.
Yeah.
Randy said I was the triggered one, so I'm triggered.
Yes, you're triggered today. I'm just a bigot.
You're triggered. I have internalized misogyny. Randy, what do you have?
Supreme bigotry.
Oh, good. Okay. Excellent.
Supreme bigotry.
Well, I can be triggered now because that's seriously.
Yeah, like you're never triggered. All right.
Well, this triggers me when she's at a frickin' sponsored event with the theological college saying we don't need euthanasia because she doesn't give a crap about people suffering.
Well, it's actually in here. I gotta find it.
In their judgment in the Carter case, which legalized euthanasia in Canada, the Supreme Court justices used the word suffer or suffering 212 times, she noted. So she's on it. Is that what you were looking for?
No, it was a line about we've forgotten how to find meaning in suffering.
Oh gosh,
yeah,
dude. Okay, I'll
slam
not, your foot with a hammer and tell me how much meaning you find in your suffering.
Yeah, here it is. Society has lost its ability to find meaning in suffering, something that used to happen in a religious context.
Okay, torture is
why
fine
religion
as long
sucks.
as it's in a religious context. Good God, man.
Yeah. So
I wonder if she's ever lost anybody. You know, it makes you question, like, how do you remain so ignorant to the suffering and callous to the suffering of people? If you've lost a loved one in a painful kind of way and see them endure suffering for a long time, like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Look at Mother Teresa. She frickin' celebrated other people's suffering right in front of them.
Yeah.
These people have no empathy. It's a justification. It's like lying for Jesus. Well, this is lack of empathy for Jesus.
Okay.
But I'm sure they find some way to frame it so that they feel that they're exhibiting empathy in some way, right?
Of course.
The sanctity of life, all this language around it, obviously, you know.
I'll read this here. Somerville recalled that when she began speaking of, quote, the secular sacred, unquote, there is no such thing, about 10 years ago, or there shouldn't be such a thing. She said, quote, everybody got mad at me, unquote. Religious people maintained she was denigrating the sacred, while secularists and atheists said she was trying to impose religion on them. Yet perspectives such as atheism and environmentalism are secular religions, Somerville said.
Yeah.
It's a lot better if people have secular religions than no religion at all. Oh my gosh. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm an atheist. It's a religion. If I'm religious, it's a religion. How can I have no religion at all? Jesus.
Atheist means non-theist, literally.
Gosh, this woman can't.
I guess I'm a humanist. Is that religion enough?
I'm embarrassed she's Canadian. I really am. Just embarrassed.
Well, we'll just not touch the American, the USA. Yeah, right.
She says we're going to have to give them some high-powered bioethics. No, lady.
You mean your Catholic infused bioethics?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Catholic infused, yeah.
Which means it's a lack of ethics because you don't obviously care.
Yeah.
What other people want or need. It's only what you want or need.
Well, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you don't want to be euthanized, don't ask for it.
Well, exactly.
Exactly. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
I was reading another article where it's the Right to Try organization. It was another Catholic register.
Heck does that
well, it means that, okay, I don't want to suffer. I don't want to suffer. I want to get cured. See if I've got ALS, but I don't want to be euthanized. And so I want to be able to have the right to try something that is a little, off-label treatment.
Fine, you do. You can choose not to die, and you can choose to suffer.
And one of the things that they said was that the right to life wasn't really talked about. It kind of got lost in the right to die discussion. I'm like, you've always had the right to life. No one's taking that away from you.
But
oh my goodness!
Someone
what do these people think?
Doesn't mean they're taking any away. It's very much obvious, but they have to try to pretend it's not.
She's triggered again.
Yes.
Oh my God. She is helping develop a specialization in bioethics at the School of Medicine at Notre Dame University in Sydney. I am so sorry, my Australian friends. I apologize. Oh yeah, working with Sydney Archbishop Anthony Fisher.
Oh, of course.
Also internationally known as a bioethicist.
I thought Australia was getting pretty good at that separation of church and
well, they gave us Ken Ham.
Oh, well. Yeah, but
so I guess it's tit for tat. Well. There you go. We got you back for Ken Ham.
And yet I think they're still came out behind.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, it's not as comic as Ken Ham is. I love trolling Ken Ham's Twitter feed. I get so many Twitter followers from doing that.
That's hilarious.
But he's so repetitive, it gets boring after a while.
Yeah.
Like he'll actually tweet something 7 times, it's just paraphrased slightly differently, and it's like, gee whiz, dude. Say it once and be done with it.
I wonder if he's surprised that anyone's paying that much of attention then.
Oh, he claims not to read his Twitter feed because of all the meanies, like me. But his followers read. If you get the usual questions like if you don't think if God doesn't exist, why are you on Twitter here? Well, I'm pushing back against you guys pushing it on us. It's tit for tat. But it's really actually I think it is very important that people know that there are other opinions out there.
Well, and now they're going extreme the other way, saying that, well, you know how, I guess it's kind of going to go into politics here, but the Republicans have been taken over by the alt-right, essentially, and they're trying to claim that the Democrats have been taken over by the alt-left.
Oh, no, they're still right. The Democrats are still right, as far as I'm concerned, but just less right.
There isn't any what they're complaining about. I mean, actually, you still have the right to heterosexual marriage. You still have the right to. You still have all your rights. What frickin' right has been taken away from you? I mean, they're complaining about political correctness. Well, if you're going to be an asshole, fine. There isn't actually any jail for being a racist prick.
No, there isn't.
Yeah, if you go kill a black guy, yeah, you're going to get stuck in jail for killing. Like, it's not because you're racist, it's because you murdered. This false equivalency here is getting beyond ridiculous.
Well, speaking of false equivalencies.
You lost me.
Yeah.
Well, the claim is, the alt-right is complaining that the other side has gone too far as well, that there's now an alt-left, and their rights are being eroded by this so-called alt-left. Thing is, when we complain about the alt-left, it's the social justice warriors and such, and we're actually fighting against them. There isn't a whole big group in the United States or Canada or anywhere else that is alt-left that is taking away people's rights the way that they want to be able to be racist, the way that they want to push all of these religious problems. Like, what we're complaining about is we want the right to die, and they don't, and they're complaining they no longer have the right to live. That's that false equivalency, and it's becoming more prevalent by the alt-right people. They're like, oh, now we don't have the right to live. Bullshit. No one's saying that you have to die. No one's saying you have to sign something saying you want to die. Yet that's what they're saying and claiming.
I don't know that it's so much the alt-right, because I don't know that they're well defined.
Yeah, I was just going to say exactly
that. It's a different element, Yeah. I think we're talking about the religious right.
Yeah, here it's religious right. There it's the alt-right, and the alt-right.
No, the alt-right has got those connections to, not all of them or whatever, but to racist groups and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Hey, like
the white
nationalist
supremacists.
groups. Yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
they're
it's
now
quite a broad spectrum.
being all of the white supremacists and such. The thing is, usually the hate groups also include a lot of Catholic groups. Like, they're usually Catholic. They're usually, if they're going to be any religious, they're going to be Catholic.
Really?
So
The hate groups? Like
the white
as defined by
So
Catholics have an association with that?
well, no, if you're a white supremacist, you're more likely to be Christian or Catholic or
I don't know about Catholics so much.
Yeah, maybe I got that wrong. It's more likely Christian. So,
Yeah, the more fundamentalist
yeah.
religions. I don't know about Catholic. I don't think the church would ever officially, condone.
No. In fact,
Yeah.
the Pope would probably be the first to speak out about it. Sorry.
Yeah.
They were okay with the Rwandan genocide.
We're hard enough on Catholics.
Yeah. Let's stick with Christian rather than the word Catholic.
There is a reason. There is a reason why I'm so hard on Catholics.
We're not hard on Catholics. We're hard on the Catholic Church.
That's true.
Sorry.
But there is a reason we are
Thank you.
hardest on the Catholic Church, and that is because they have such a high standing in Canada. I mean, it's the largest single Christian or group in Canada, and they are the most politically active. So that's why I go after them a lot.
And they kind of do have the most money out of any other Christian group, even in the States. So
yeah, in certain parts of the United States, they have a lot of power.
Mega churches and stuff like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Are they not Catholic? They're
mega churches.
They're usually
okay.
Yeah, it's
evangelical, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, it's the Catholic Church is more active in the Northeast, like Massachusetts and that area.
What's Texas?
Oh, Fundy Evangelical.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Baptist
yeah,
as
they've
well.
got mega churches.
Very Baptist.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know much about it, but I do know that that's Fundy country.
Yeah.
So I think I want to go on to the. Well, let's do one more religious one, and then we'll go to the Regressive Left Files. Orthodox Christian. I use the Catholic Register. This is one of my favorite sources for stuff. Let's see, what is it? Orthodox Christian father loses religious freedom and parental rights case. You found this one,
right.
Twyla. So in Ottawa, this actually happened in Hamilton, I believe, but anyway. An Orthodox Christian father has lost a religious freedom and parental rights case before the Ontario Superior Court, even though the judge agreed his rights were encroached. This is on November 23rd. Ontario Superior. This is hard to say. Ontario Superior Court Justice Robert B. Reid denied Steve Turlucas' request for a declaration of parental authority in education. He also refused a request that the Hamilton Wentworth School Board be required to accommodate Turlucas' religious beliefs. So Turlucas, Steve Turlucas, is a member of the Greek Orthodox Church, and he requested in 2010 that the board inform him in advance when teachings contrary to his religious beliefs were to be taught so he could remove his two children from class.
And how long was that list?
What's in the list is funny too. Among teachings he listed, and this is not a all-encompassing list by any means.
No.
Were moral relativism, occult practices. Where I missed that class in high school.
I want to hear his definition of occult practices.
Sex education, birth control, and the promotion of abortion or euthanasia. I also saw somewhere it included environmentalism.
Oh, wow.
Basically, almost anything could be in his definition under that. So what, his kids need to be exempted from every single course?
Yeah, this is why we don't do trigger warnings, people. Because if you have to sit and figure out everybody's trigger, forget it.
Yeah, I'm on the Hamilton Spectator. The
Hamilton Spectator is the other one. Yeah,
and it says here, where was it now? Oh crap! Sorry, I scrolled up and lost it.
Yeah.
Oh, including sex, environmental issues, practices like astrology, wizardry, witchcraft, and spirit guides, the LGBT community, euthanasia, and infanticide. Yeah, because infanicide's right up there with the things they're teaching in school, isn't it?
Yeah, I went through a whole chapter on that. Right.
Trigger.
I remember that from grade 3. Yeah.
Oh, see, it's just like...
basically, you can't teach this freaking Bible in school then.
Well, you're no kidding. Yeah, you can't read that Bible, buddy. But the first thing I thought of when I read this was, this is trigger warnings. This is what this is. And it's, if you think it's garbage here, guess what? It's garbage when, demanding universities engage in this nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least this is a parent, and
yeah, and he's not actually the one being triggered.
No, I know, but at least, like if you must invoke trigger warnings, at least he's in his misguided way trying to protect his children, right? As opposed to
you mean insulate
adults, grown-ass adults running off to their safe spaces, right? Not to say that there's not a, certain times and places. The word, safe space has been distorted to something that it wasn't intended to mean originally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
well, I don't even know the original meaning is worthwhile either, but.
Well, I don't know. I think there were sort of clubs and social events.
Oh, you mean safe? Yeah. Well, yeah.
I think that's
yeah, that's true. Safe. Yeah, I get you that. Yeah, clubs, but they're not like areas that are. Oh, you're a white male. Get out of here.
Yeah.
As if that isn't a racist and sexist thing to say.
Well, the funniest trigger I've ever, I guess it's not funny. The trigger in health class that we had was someone fainted when we watched a video on first aid, and there was the sight of blood, and the poor guy fainted and he hurt himself.
But that's not a trigger, really, because that's a... Oh, it has a name.
It's a biological response, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's
yeah.
not
Isn't that what triggers are, though? They trigger
No, it's more like
anxiety
psychological responses, whereas that one's just it's a biological response. Some people just faint at the sight of blood, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he would have said, "Oh, I need trigger warnings for that." People probably didn't even know until maybe he.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that even if on film it would cause someone to faint? Yeah.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
it was a surprise. It was a big guy too.
I was in the hospital. This was years ago, and with a guy that I know. He's pretty highfalutin neurologist, and we were just walking along, and I had no idea where we were going. And we go into the basement of the hospital and go in through the doors, and here's this guy holding this elderly woman's brain in his hands. And I'm like,
gosh.
Well, now I know where I am. I'm in the morgue.
How did you know it's the brain of an elderly woman?
because her open head was on the table.
Alrighty then.
Yeah. Apparently she had Alzheimer's, and they were getting a sample for the Alzheimer's brain bank.
Right.
So, but no, might next time kind of tell me where we're going.
Just a bit of a warning. So
it doesn't bother me, but
If I want my body to be donated to science, if some right. So good for that woman.
Yeah. But is that common? I think you do have to get that Alzheimer's test, or
I don't know if you have to get it, but if they did an autopsy after the fact, I suppose if the family requested it, I don't know.
Well, they would request,
they
would request a sample from the family. Yeah, it's.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Hamilton. Okay, so triggered parent. All right, bye. So he lost. That's the whole.
He lost
thing.
His case.
Yes, he lost.
It was too much.
So,
yeah.
Okay, now prepare. Okay, we're gonna do the whole regressive left files here. So here we go.
The Regressive Left Files.
And in the Netherlands, here we go, the Sunday Express. Fury as watchdog says it's okay to send gay people death threats, but only if you're Muslim. Furious Dutch MPs have demanded an immediate public inquiry after a government-backed watchdog said it was acceptable for Muslims to send gay people death threats. In a shocking move, the taxpayer-funded hotline said it would not pursue a criminal complaint over horrific messages from radical Islamists because the Quran says gay people can be killed. The disgraceful stance came to light when a member of the public complained about death threats posted to an online forum which called for homosexuals to be burned, decapitated, and slaughtered. Dutch MPs today reacted with horror to the revelations, demanding an immediate inquiry into the remarks and calling for the hotline to be stripped of public funding. Holy shit. Like, seriously, wow. Holy shit. Oh.
Publicly funded double standard.
According to Dutch media advisors from the Anti-Discrimination Bureau, MIND, said that while homophobic abuse was usually a crime, it was justifiable if you were Muslim due to laws on freedom of religious expression. Oh, wow. That blows my mind. They argued that the Quran says it's acceptable to kill people for being homosexual, and so death threats towards gay people from Muslims could not be discriminatory. Like, how do you?
The same way you can say that, you can only be racist if you're white, and you can only be, everybody, blah blah blah, right?
Yeah, this is as regressive as it gets. I mean, this is Islamophilia. Okay, this is what this is.
Or enabling it.
Yeah, exactly. And in a jaw-dropping email explaining why they could not take up the complaint, they wrote, quote, "The remarks must be seen in the context of religious beliefs in Islam, which juridically takes away the insulting character." No, it doesn't. Nope. And they concluded...
That's like claiming I'm an atheist, so it's perfectly legal for me to murder people. Like, what?
Yeah, because we don't know any better.
Yeah, that should be fine. It's part of my non-religion.
Yeah, and you wonder why Geert Wilders is set to win in Dutch elections next year. And he's he's an alt-righter.
Right.
And he's going to win. It's because of this bullshit.
But you're alt-left if you take away their rights to threaten death.
Yeah.
I haven't heard the term alt-left until...
Oh, I've seen it quite often now. Especially now that the alt-right is trying to claim that people like Democrats are alt-left.
Okay, I've heard like regressive left, but not alt-left.
Alt-left. It's new. It's a new label to basically call anything progressive frickin' terrible, because it's not
basically
it's not
SJWs.
Anti-abortion, so it's all left. It's horrible.
Yeah. It's stupid. So far-right politician Geert Wilders, whose party is expected to win next spring's general election, is currently on trial. Now, get this, for inciting racial hatred after telling a rally there were too many Moroccans in the Netherlands. How does that compare to, hey, let's go out and kill a bunch of homosexual people?
Well, it's unacceptable, nevertheless. But yeah, I think
but
there's a
disconnect here. Yeah, I agree. It's
what he said was racist. What they're doing are death threats.
It's a big difference. It's both are over the line, but let's face it, one is clearly more lethal than the other.
Well, and I mean, in terms of freedom of speech, if you want to speak out and say, "Oh, this is what my religion says about gays," that's one thing. But if you threaten death, that's quite another.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And all he's doing is just being racist, and he's not saying what to do with these people.
Well, I wouldn't say just being racist because it's unacceptable.
Okay, okay.
Like that kind of
point taken.
Yeah.
Yeah. My bad.
But I get, we agree on the principle.
I was being relative to the death threat thing.
That's
what the just referred to. A spokesman for the Mind Hotline, after all the hubbub, admitted that after, quote, further research, unquote, of the issue, it had concluded that the complaint had been, quote, unjustly assessed, unquote. Yeah,
geez. I guess they need guidelines on these things now.
Holy shit. I mean...
It's no longer common sense.
I mean, it's after Cologne. I mean, all the mob swarmings of women by young Muslim men that happened in Cologne. I'm not that surprised. You know, it was all swept under.
It's more like mass rape.
Mass rape, yeah. And
yeah.
I'm not surprised
not
at
that swarming
this.
This
is minor
either, but yeah.
You know, Europe has to either start talking about this in a proper way, or you're going to see a very, very right-wing Europe in a year or two.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, especially when you hide it, you know, the media was kind of silenced, right? Until it got out, I guess, through social media.
Yeah.
But the media was just staying quiet about it. And now, you know, people are terrified of, you know, law authorities and stuff like that are terrified of enacting the law because they get, you know, regarded as racist, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's true of, you know, police in the U.S. too. They're afraid to, like that one woman who ended up getting shot because she didn't draw fast enough because she was so afraid that she would be, you know, deemed a racist and bring shame upon her, you know, department and stuff like that.
The law is the law. People need to realize that. These people are not above the law just because they're not Christian or not atheist or not. Just because they're Islam does not mean they're above the law.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If they're in that land, it's the law of the land. And tough shit. If you get called racist, you just say, no, it's our law. You came here, you live here, you follow the law.
Yeah, but some people would prefer to change their laws rather than, you know, right?
No.
Crazy. No, I know. I agree with you. But
human rights are human rights.
Or just ignore the law in fear of, you know, being regarded as Islamophobes or racists.
That's the whole thing.
That's why it needs to get talked about, because Brexit apparently was more Brexit. The let's leave Europe. Let's leave Brexit. Won. Like, they left because of those occurrences in Paris, the Paris attacks too. People became that became the focus. Instead of changing the trade portion of it to make it better for Britain, that became the focus after the Paris. And then people didn't want people freely moving through Europe. They didn't want people coming to Britain without extra, you know, scrutiny. It changed what people were going to vote for Brexit. So, yeah, it needs to be talked about, because politics is going to get much worse for everybody if you're going to let the alt-right take over. Just because you're afraid. No, the law is the law, and every single political party needs to start talking about it.
Yeah, we can't just ignore this anymore. And the vast majority of, the Syrian refugees, there's been no problem here. I'm not unaware of any problems that they've caused.
You're still going to have more toddlers killing people with their guns than you're going to have refugees.
Yeah.
Not to mention, not only are they not causing any problems, but they've, done things like help fundraise for Fort McMurray and been, engaged and participating in Canadian culture, right? They're very much, becoming a fiber of our society.
That needs to get the attention as well. That needs to be talked about.
Yeah, radicalization, it happens to people who grew up in Western countries. Often they're white, young white men, and we can't say that everybody that's going to come in the country is going to be a jihadist if we're basically raising jihadists.
Yeah, there's young white men from Calgary that have run off to join ISIS.
Yeah, Calgary's a hotbed for some reason, as is Mississauga.
And girls running off to marry.
Oh, yeah. God, those are stupid. What goes through their minds to do that? So many of them have died trying to escape.
They get promises of being treated like princesses. They don't understand the reality until they get there.
An adventure.
Yeah, it's very romanticized.
I suppose, right? Yeah.
But anyway, moving on, I guess. There was an article that one of our Facebook friends posted on her page, and it's from the Globe and Mail, by Margaret Wendt. The radicals have taken over. Academic extremism comes to Canada. And in it, there is a story. It's one of a number of stories, but I had to go looking deeper. So it starts, I bet the poor guy never saw it coming until recently. I will put it up on the YouTube page. Until recently, Henry Parada was director of the School of Social Work at Reyerson University, Toronto's big downtown commuter school. His career was going well, and he got major research grants. How do you get research grants and so on? I don't know. Now he has stepped aside after a handful of students calling themselves the Black Liberation Collective accused him of a, quote, a violent act of anti-blackness, misogyny, and here's your second new word for the day, misogynoir.
What?
It's
Chris?
Well, and by the way, the way you get grants is you apply for them.
Yeah, well, I know that, but who do you apply to?
Okay.
Yeah, who gave
Who's
it?
doling out the good dough?
Quite often on behalf of, entire teams of people for which the grad students are being, paid out of that and that kind of thing.
What is a major?
So you might get $1 million grant, but you're probably hiring a bunch of grad students and really not making money yourself on it.
It's not like you pocket the money. That's for Nobel Prizes. But misogynoir, that is basically being hating black women. I take it.
Oh.
Yeah.
How'd they prove that?
No. What you're talking about? Social justice warriors. They don't prove anything. So what was this act? It seems...
I don't know. I think that misogyny and racism are definitely things.
There are things,
just,
absolutely. But you don't assume
that.
But
however,
but in this case, it's a little tough.
Oh, this one definitely takes the cake. But I have to admit to a lot of Schadenfreude in this whole thing. So, so what was this act? It seems that he left a meeting where a black female speaker was giving a talk.
Oh.
That was it.
The first thing that came to my mind was, oh God, the poor guy probably had to pee.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Well, nobody asked. We don't know. Nobody bothered to ask him.
And he's not.
And then he gets attacked. So what happened next won't surprise anyone who has been tracking the steady rise of authoritarian illiberalism. I like that because that's exactly what it is. It's not liberalism. On the left.
Thank you.
The Black Liberation Collective, God, idiots, at Reyerson, which has perhaps the most diverse student body in the nation, issued an escalating series of rants demanding immediate action to address his crimes, along with institutional racism in general. Students disrupted faculty meetings. The administration has issued the standard non-response. Basically, it values diversity and inclusion and is looking into the matter. But really, as she writes here, it doesn't matter what Professor Parada did. He's a white man and therefore guilty. I think in this case, she's pretty much hit the nail on the head because I've looked into this. And
they're giving the alt-right freaking ammo.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Come on.
And they're moving, leftists like us to have to defend, the right wingers.
No, I don't think we're defending
because they're the ones that are saying shit that needs to be said.
We're not really defending.
And I don't like that.
I'm not defending the right at all. I'm just saying this is wrong. That's it.
No, I'm not. I guess I'm not defending the right so much as defending. Sometimes they say something that, defending the claims, right?
Yeah.
The fact that people aren't speaking out that need to be speaking out on the left, and these are the voices that we hear, and we can't say, oh no, they're wrong when they're not wrong.
They're going to feel justifiably affronted.
Yeah, and I mean, this is referred to as an act of violence when he just left, a violent act of anti-blackness, misogyny, and well, you read it already.
Misogynoir. Yes, misogynoir. Put that in your vocabulary. Reader's Digest. Reader's Digest.
I just want to unread that.
Your vocabulary.
That's like bad French.
Misogynoir. That sounds like a new perfume.
Hey.
Or a lovely wine.
Okay. I was going to make some joke about, misogynoir by, I was going to say Coco Chanel, but Coco with an A.
To it already.
Coco with an A. That was.
I like to pour
terrible.
myself a glass of it. Actually.
Yeah.
It sounds like a nice wine.
White. It can't be white. It has to be red.
Well, that's why you spell it COCOA,
exactly.
not COCO.
Burgundy.
Yes, Kitty. I'm going to get to
it
it.
would be funny if it was white.
Anyway,
I just want to open a vineyard now to.
So here's the eye opener, which is some paper. I don't know what it is, but anyway, Black Liberation Collective. What a stupid name! And Indigenous Students Rising is another. They actually call themselves this.
I don't know.
Protest School of Social Work. Oh, come on, Black Liberation Collective. Come on, that's terrible.
But you know, I wouldn't begrudge people from naming their groups. It's the act of the group that is, you know.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that the name you give it is not going to get mocked. So they send a letter. Blah blah blah, and in this it corroborated everything that Wendt wrote. That they never asked. They never. You know, why did you leave? As if it's any of their business. Maybe he got a page. You know, it's absolutely outrageous. But when you get to this, okay, this is from the National Post, and this is Christy Blatchford writing. And if you take a look at their website, okay. Let's see. Among them, no, this isn't the right one. Let's go here. Okay. No, this is the. Darn it. Oh, here. What is this? Okay. This is from the BLC, the Black Liberation Collective. We indict the School of Social Work for perpetrating anti-black racism through placing our black educators in the most precarious forms of employment. Through particular educators. What do you mean precarious? What are they making them walk tightropes or something without a net or something? I don't know. Through particular educators allowing black students experience anti-black racism in the classroom. No examples given, but anyway. Other higher administration.
If you want to get taken seriously, you have to give legitimate examples.
Yeah, no kidding. It's just. What else? Challenging
Where are you reading that
racism.
from?
Oh, this is
from their webpage,
this is
their
from
Facebook page, or from?
This is from the National Post.
Yeah, I see the article, but
there's another one that
the,
there's another National Post one that I need to find because it has the website for the school itself, and it's really, really interesting. Let me just get onto Facebook here, and I will find it.
Because I know in our messages we have two, and I can send you the links if you want.
Yeah, oh jeez. Yeah, two National Post stories that we had. So
there's one. Oh, sorry, wrong one, I think. Just a sec. Definitely this one.
Yeah, I think I've got it here. It's okay, falling victim to school's obligatory blah blah to human rights, a classic of modern Canadian university soft think. This is by Christy Blatchford. Now, this is where the schadenfreude comes in, because if you go to the... Oh, darn it, where's the... Oh, here it is. If you go to their webpage, that school's webpage, it says things like, we acknowledge that our school is on the land of... this stupid thing is reformatting for me. Okay, it's stopped. Now I got to find it again. We acknowledge that our school is on the land of the Mississaugas of New Credit. What the hell is New Credit? We support the struggles of Indigenous populations nationally and globally for Indigenous sovereignty and their collective rights. And it goes on later on. We educate about the intersectionality and interlocking of oppressions and seek to address their causes. We stand with communities and populations that experience oppression and marginalization, including poverty, exploitation, and domination, and seek to work with all those committed to the advancement of anti-oppression/anti-racism, anti-colonialism/decolonization, feminism, anti-capitalism, queer and trans liberation struggles, issues in disability and madness, and you noted that they actually have somebody capitalized. among other social justice struggles. So,
wow.
This is the guy that Parada was basically resigning from a school which created these monsters. You know what?
That's sad.
I if it wasn't for the fact that this can affect other parts of the university where, like even the sciences, I'd be like wringing my hands in glee. This is just self-cannibalization. Oh, it's just...
Well, the poor guy, though, I feel bad for him. But in terms of I get where you're coming from in terms of, creating its own monster, basically, right?
Yeah, he's part of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm trying to be more diplomatic, but yeah.
And here's the part you're going to love the most. I mean, because I know you love these so much. As a community of people connected to the School of Social Work, we agree that we will address microaggression as it occurs and discuss how we might be implicated in acts of microaggression. I mean, I know you love microaggression.
Looks like they train their students well.
Holy man.
They forgot the whole evidence portion, but whatever.
How did this happen? Like where did this come from? Where's...
maybe it is a little too politically correct, but it still doesn't mean that all right is right.
Yeah, for sure. Of course not.
Well,
it's not like we're not speaking out against it, and it's not like it's not shooting them in the feet.
There's people that are speaking out against both, regressive left and the alt-right. So it's not like there's not a lot of middle ground there.
We need a middle ground.
Yeah.
Well, Margaret went...
And what...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
May I just ask, why the hell did they, A, call it madness, and B, capitalize it? And it's in the context of disability and... It's issues in disability and madness, and they've lumped them together in the same category. So I can only assume it means people who have...
It's like an 18th century word. For mental illness.
Yeah, madness, capitalized. Like, how insulting is that?
Maybe
some
they
people
were,
have,
maybe they were talking about
suffer from depression and shit like that, are suddenly madness. They're suffering from madness.
Maybe they were talking about the '80s group Madness. That whole Our House thing. On the middle of the street, our house in the middle of a. So they really like Madness.
Okay, totally triggered.
I'm triggered by that word.
No. You don't get to be triggered. Twilight is the perpetually triggered. You're the internally misogynist.
I do. I get to be triggered because you know what?
Only through internal misogyny.
Because it makes me bloody well think. Right? I don't hide from being triggered. I embrace it. I look for opportunities.
I have to try to hide
what it means to grow.
You only get to be triggered through internal misogyny. That's it.
I get to try to hide from my triggers.
I'm just a bigot, so. And we'll get to why in a minute. But to answer that question, though, I think. I keep forgetting her name. Sorry, Margaret went. She says university campuses have always leaned a little left, but in the 1990s, as the previous generation of academics was replaced by baby boomers, they began to lean dramatically left. The humanities and social sciences were colonized by an unholy alliance of post-structuralists and Marxists, people who believe that Western civilization is a corrupt patriarchy that must be dismantled. So according to... Jordan Peterson says this, quote, engineers and scientists are interested in things. They say, you guys are all insane, just leave us the hell alone, unquote. And by the time they look up, the power positions have been taken over by the radicals. Well, I think it's a little unfair to the science people because they have no control over hiring practices of social sciences. But
exactly.
They did it themselves.
I think it's being implied that it's being, penetrated into other fields, if I'm interpreting it that way.
I don't know. Not that I know of, but the arts, yes. I mean, the arts are definitely.
Yeah, it seems the instructors and faculty need to be taught some middle ground.
So yeah, that's it's happening up here. So, folks. Before we go, there's a bunch of demands by the Indigenous Students Rising group. I just want to read a couple of them. They want.
Where's that?
It's on their Facebook page. I'll just read a couple out to you guys. They want land acknowledgements should be compulsory at the beginning of every semester in every classroom in Reyerson. Further, there should be an explanation of why this land acknowledgement is a necessary and indisputable part of curriculum at Reyerson. I would say it's neither necessary nor anything else.
What do you mean by land acknowledgements?
Well, that the university is on Indian land, blah, blah, blah.
Oh. But what will that accomplish?
Oh, dick all, I'm sure.
To serve as a reminder, I suppose, right? Which is fair, although I think it would be better used as a, I guess, a recruiting tool, because I think that would, like in their PR type materials to recruit students and that kind of thing. But
how's this for recruiting?
People sign or acknowledge in an unofficial way. Maybe when you apply, you could sign and say, I appreciate that this is blah, 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 or whatever, but to have it every turn.
Cool.
How many people do you think are going to want to go to Reyerson when they have to discuss microaggressions and they have to be taken up in every classroom?
Yeah, that's, well, I guess
I ain't going to that university.
Was it Mizzou where the enrollment dropped quite drastically?
Yes. Was. Mizzou
so,
just...
Maybe they should figure out this isn't working.
Yeah.
There could be a better way.
It's just increased funding earmarked for Indigenous and Black students in the School of Social Work to further efforts in anti-colonialism, decolonization, and confronting anti-Black racism and anti-Native racism. Now, the last one I'll give them, but really, anti-colonialism?
What is colonialism again?
Like when you take over territory of somebody else and, rip them of their culture and that kind of thing. So, I don't know. I think it's fair to talk about that and to teach it.
Just word it better.
The only way you're going to get us to decolonize is to ship us back to Europe.
I like that idea, though. I think I want to go. But only if the alt-right doesn't take over.
Exactly.
There's a bunch of similar demands. It's just... It's the tail wagging the dog, right? It's what's happening in universities. It's the tail wagging the dog. It's ridiculous. These people were disruptive. I would have given them a warning and I say, you do this again, you're expelled. Yeah,
and that's up to the vice presidents and the presidents and the faculty to start addressing it more.
But they won't. It gets... I don't know. The universities just don't seem to want to antagonize anybody. They want to accommodate everyone, and you're just not going to be able to do it. No. When one side wants ridiculous things, you can't do it. You can't allow it.
Yeah, I mean, this Henry Parada, he's resigned, but he hasn't
he's
made
still on
any
faculty.
Statements and that kind of thing, right? So
they've tried to reach him.
They want him to apologize as well, but will he do it? That should be interesting.
Apologize for what?
Yeah, really.
What does he need to apologize for? And they wanted him to. They also wanted him to tell what he did wrong. And I'm like,
yeah.
He didn't do anything wrong.
Their words, in the words that they're feeding him.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, they're going to tell him what he did wrong, and he's going to have to parrot it back. It's
the narrative, right? They want him to adopt the narrative to formulate this apology, and
Well,
it'll be interesting to
lost somebody good.
Well, he's still on faculty, so he just resigned from the head of the school. But they're not going to be satisfied.
To see what he does.
Yeah, staying quiet is probably not the way to do it.
Can you imagine the culture there right now, though, around him?
And who's going to take up the position that he resigned for? I sure as fuck wouldn't want that position.
Yeah.
After this.
Yeah,
really?
No kidding.
Seriously. Yeah.
The dangerous thing to do. Like.
Don't do to others that you don't want them doing to you. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very dangerous job. But my sympathy is greatly tempered by the fact that he was part of the cause. So
Yeah.
there you go.
He started dressing.
They eat their own.
Hey, people.
All right, so
Well, the poor guy's just a cog in the wheel in that sense, right? Like, this is a much bigger thing than just
I think you're being charitable.
that particular department. Well, no, it's pervasive throughout, I would say, Western academia, right? So he's just a cog. He's just a scapegoat. I do feel bad for him. But I hear you.
But I'm a bastard, so I'm a bigot too.
Well, you're a bigot.
I'm a bigot.
Yeah.
Bigot.
Against that white dude.
So we come to
my internalized misogyny that
Yes.
makes me say these things.
I'm just baffledly triggered and hiding in my safe space.
So we come to a happy story in the Regressive Left Files. A very happy story. I love this. I was triggered, I admit it, when I first saw this. But then events unfolded, which made it much more interesting. So there was an article published in The Guardian. Let me put it up on the screen there for people who are probably not there to watch it. But this is why you go to the YouTube to watch our podcast, so you can see what we're looking at. It's in The Guardian, and it's titled "Alt-Right Online Poison Nearly Turned Me into a Racist," and it's authored by Anonymous. And there's this wonderful picture of Milo Yiannopoulos, super gay dude, and he's speaking at a Trump event. Ugh. Anyway, it's interesting because it describes this descent into the seventh level of hell, starting with watching Sam Harris videos, and then moving on to Milo Yiannopoulos, and then becoming an alt-right bigot. And so he starts seeing anti-SJW videos, and he said they were shocking at first, but always presented in innocuous criticism from people claiming to be liberals themselves or centrists, sometimes just a regular conservative, but never, ever identifying as the dreaded alt-right. So this is kind of like the gateway to hell. For 3 months, I watched this stuff grow steadily more fearful of Islam. Not Muslims, they would usually say. Individual Muslims are fine, but Islam was presented as a threat to Western civilization. Fear-mongering content was presented in a compelling way by charismatic people who would distance themselves from the very movement of which they were a part. At the same time, the
anti-SJ... like Sam Harris?
Yeah, well, Sam Harris is the first step on the staircase to hell.
So who are these people he's talking about?
So these are anti-SJWs.
Oh,
kind of like us.
Like us?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I don't know that we're somewhat. I don't think I'm an anti-SJW because I think we're all on this. We're all trying to, like when we talk about social justice, the term has gotten so poisoned. Of course, I want to advance social justice. Yes. I just disagree with the way that some of my fellow people on the left are behaving. And when I want to remind everybody where the term regressive left came from. It came from Majid Nawaz because he felt betrayed by leftists who were coming to defend people who were speaking out against the claims of Islam and that kind of thing, right? People that are, like Ayaan Hirsi Ali, Majid Nawaz, people that are trying to bring awareness to the issues and and they're being thrown under the bus by people that should be on their side, right? Yeah. So I don't consider myself an anti-SJW. I just want to call out my own, essentially, right?
And people are saying we aren't, but we are.
Well, yeah, we are. And maybe a couple of years ago, I would have been afraid to even, say these things, but it's just too much. It's time. Mm-hmm. We can't be quiet anymore.
But now we have to follow the slippery slope argument that Randy's developing.
Yeah, that's basically what we're describing here. But it continues on, and this is the part that should have, it kind of did register, but I was still stuck in this idea that this was actually a real article. So here's where I should have picked up on this as a clue. And it's he says
you're giving it away.
He says on one occasion I am ashamed to admit very diplomatically expressed negative sentiments on Islam to my wife. Nothing overtly racist, just some of the innocuous type of things the YouTubers had presented. Islam isn't compatible with Western civilization. And she was taken aback. Isn't that a bit right wing? Well, I'm more a left-leaning centrist. PC culture has gone too far. We should be able to discuss these things without shutting down the conversation by calling people racist or bigots. And the indoctrination was complete.
The indoctrination was complete.
That is so over the top. I should have known. That was so over the top. That's just way too...
Yeah.
Anyway, so... so there's a couple of days later, Majid Nawaz posts on... there it is. He posts on Twitter. It appears The Guardian and Glenn Greenwald got monumentously trolled by Godfrey Elphick, who wrote that Guardian piece to satirize The Guardian. Because Godfrey Elphick, who has a history of doing this kind of thing, admitted to being the author of it. He said, "Okay, I hold my hands up. I wrote this. Alt-right online poison nearly..." Yeah. So, and he hasn't reneged that. So he hasn't, said that he hasn't written it since. And so this is just awesome.
But has he presented any evidence to support that?
That's the thing.
People say that, did he really, or is it just taking?
He does have a draft.
So over the top.
He does have a draft of it, but I don't know. That's as much as I've seen. So if this is true, this is just...
If it's true, it's hilarious.
It's epic. It is epic. And I have just one thing to say to that. We're not worthy! We're not worthy! So, yeah. We're not worthy.
Did you play a sound clip?
Did you hear that or no?
No.
No, you didn't hear it. Oh. Oh, well.
But maybe it got broadcast.
It'll get broadcast. So it was just we're not worthy. We're
not worthy.
Yeah. And so Glenn Greenwald, he's this left-wing journalist, and he's he is doubling down.
Whoa.
Yeah, a liberal. He actually got suckered. He writes and tweeted. A liberal writes in The Guardian how he was radicalized by Sam Harris into full-scale hate-mongering against Muslims.
And he tweeted it to Harris too, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And
yeah.
So he was getting pretty harshly treated, and he says, "Yes, everyone who criticizes Father Sam is a shameful liar. That's what makes it a cult. Try reading the article." The article was fake, dude.
The article is a Poe.
It's a Poe. It's a complete Poe. And he says it doesn't matter whether it's fake or not. And I'm like, you're missing the point.
Yeah.
If you believe what's in there, you're mock-worthy.
Yes. He of all people would fall for that.
Yeah. It was just, yeah. So they really...
You were justifiably outraged. He was sucked right in and loved every minute of it.
Yeah. So it was, he actually caught somebody else in the net. So it was wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully this is actually true. It is a true Poe. And I would love to get him on the podcast because it
was posted as anonymous. That's what tipped me off. I was like, this is crap.
But it's so well written.
I just
love it.
Yeah. I scanned through it. I didn't read it in depth, and I thought it was real too. So,
I didn't. I was like, this is ridiculous.
It was certainly ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. Yeah. There's no way this person was radicalized by Sam frickin' Harris.
Yeah,
so
I love that. Oh, he said bad things about Islam, therefore he's a bigot.
Well, and there's enough people on my Facebook making fun of people who won't criticize Islam. So, of course, it's going to suck in people that are,
suckers?
Okay, so Steve Shives, does this not sound like something Steve Shives would write? So,
What? The
Steve
article?
Shives.
Steve Shives writing this article?
No, I'm saying that somebody like Steve Shives might also be, I could conceivably, think of somebody, people that have been taken so far to that extreme that they would, I shouldn't say it. When your wife says, "Oh, isn't that sounding a little bit rightist or something?"
Yeah,
right.
Right wing.
Oh no! I've seen
maybe
I'm
right wing
oh my God,
is
I'm being
a turn
an
on.
asshole or whatever, right? What's that?
Don't criticize Islam. Don't criticize Islam.
Yeah.
Maybe being right wing is a turn on for her.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well then.
He might have.
No, I'm
I'm
just
missing
saying
something.
that he used to be quite. He was, involved in the drama hom and things and all this kind of stuff, a couple 3 years back, and now he's just like this.
I hate
just
that
like
drama.
this article. Maybe it's even a mockery of him, to be honest.
Well, he actually gives the source for his inspiration, and it was some other Muslim writer for oh darn it. If you go to his Twitter page, he actually gives you the inspiration.
I have the opposite problem, and I love my friends to bits, but if I don't criticize Islam as long while I'm criticizing like alt-rights, then they think I'm not giving them equal time or something. Silencing. It's like, dudes, you don't have to worry about me. I will criticize Islam, okay?
Yeah, and you'll criticize the alt-right too. We'll all do that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah. Nobody's
leaving
immune.
one out if I'm talking about the other guys, all right? You don't have to slam me every time.
Yeah.
Well, so when I put this up on the Facebook page, I wrote a thing. But at the time, I thought it was still. I still thought it was real. And so I, I had some things to say about being an anti-SJW, and which I am, not anti-social justice, just necessarily. Though I hate the term now because it has become so, like you mentioned before, it's become so poisoned. Mm-hmm. It's and I mentioned that I have a problem with Black Lives Matter. I do. I think they're ineffective.
Some of their
They're
tactics.
ineffective and their tactics, and I don't even. They're about political power. They're not about policy change. And so this one person here, Coda Alexander Gashi, and I am naming you because it's on the podcast page, and I reserve the right to name anybody who posts on there. He said, "Damn, didn't know I was on a bigot page. I'll block you now. You can go back to yelling at the wall. Hope you can get a girlfriend someday."
How old are you, Randy?
Old enough to have been married quite a while. My wife.
What did I say? Maybe you should ask Rhonda about that. Or,
one of
those pussies you're always grabbing.
Yeah.
You bigot.
So my wife comes on and says, I am at a loss for what to say. My wife, sorry, honey. Rhonda comes on. I'm being too possessive there. Anyone who knows Randy at all knows what he's really like, what he's really all about. I don't think he even jokes about sexism or misogyny. As for pussy grabbing, I won't go there. LOL. So there you go, Coda. Screw you.
It's like,
I'm sorry for implicating.
Listen to a few podcasts before you judge on one post. Good God.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
So, yep.
Jumping to conclusions like that, it's become the Facebook right.
I've got a couple of these Glenn Greenwald things. Oh, here's the one. Sam Harris comes on, and Sam Harris says to Glenn Greenwald, "This appears to have been a hoax, Glenn. You retweeted it 3 times to 779,000 people. Got anything to say?"
That's awesome.
So Glenn Greenwald replies, "I don't work at The Guardian, Sam. If they were careless or defrauded by your adherent and say so, I'll note it. They haven't." And people were just ganging up on Greenwald, trying to pin the blame on me for a Guardian article because I'm an official enemy of Father Sam shows why this cult is hated.
Wow.
Oy vey.
Just remember, bigots and triggers and all of us, we turn everybody into racists.
Yeah. Oh,
Good God.
That's just too funny. So that's all I got for tonight.
Oh no, I think we have one more about the Fidel Castro.
We can talk about talk about Fidel. Yeah, Fidel.
Trudeau's.
Trudeau's
Trudeau.
tweets.
Trudeau, you went too far into the Castro love.
Yeah, well, the Trudeau family does have a history with the Castro. So,
and that was after he got slapped down for almost getting Cuba nuked. Okay? So he was a bad little dictator, and now he's being a good little dictator. But don't forget, he used to be a bad little dictator, and he's still not great. There's a lot of people in that country, and if you listen to CBC, that whole country, the way it's communist. They only divvy out so much in wages. People are starving. People are into prostitution. People are stealing cigars to sell on the street to survive. It is not some goddamn socialist paradise.
Wow, that's a triggering.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Trudeau went too damn far.
Yeah, he did. And, you know, he did not treat the LGBT community well, Castro.
Yeah.
No.
Anti-intellectuals.
Cuba?
There's some of the diaspora that I say go to hell because they were part of Batista's entourage. You know, Batista, ruled that country basically like his own personal bank account, and it was ruled by the mob.
He was a bad little dictator too.
It was terrible. All the big decisions.
Doesn't mean Castro's better.
That's right. But all the big decisions that the mob made were all done in Havana. And so like Jimmy Hoffa being offed, that decision was made in Havana. And so there was a coup attempt, and he basically decimated his officer corps and left him open to Castro and Guevara. And these aren't nice people either. There's a lot of blame to go around because I don't agree with American foreign policy with regard to Cuba.
Well, and the problem
I think it has
is
not worked in 50 years.
USA knew beforehand. They had the intelligence beforehand to know that Castro would work with Russia.
And that's the thing. They missed an opportunity. They could have, worked with Castro and kept Russia out of it. And instead, they basically forced Castro towards the Soviet Union.
Okay, yeah, because when I said, what do you mean, I was thinking of the more recent initiatives by Obama to, bridge
that was
those
opening up,
relationships.
No, with
stuff,
the Bay
right?
of Pigs.
This is the 60s.
I mean, the USA saw the relationship.
Get with the times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, tell that to the Castros.
This is what's pissing me off about people that are justifying this frickin' takeover of Castro. Like, sure, the USA didn't want him either, but they weren't exactly, if you're going to work with the guy Batista, who is working with the USA, or Castro, the guy who wants to work with Russia and get nuclear arms stuck on Cuba. Like, I mean, what do you do? What do you do? And sure, how much do you interfere? How much don't you interfere? And then after that, sure. I don't really understand the relationship between Castro and Canada. I really don't. But it's kind of sickening in a way, and it's kind of sad that Trudeau has brought this upon us.
Well, it's... you mean the Pierre Trudeau, not Justin.
And now Justin, giving him way too much love.
Well, I think it wasn't such a bad thing that we didn't, Canadians were allowed to travel there, so we got to support the tourist industry, and we weren't alienating them from our culture and us from them, I suppose, right? In that sense, like.
Unfortunately, with that tourism industry, there's corruption. Only certain people are allowed to have access to tourist dollars.
Yeah, but we didn't alienate ourselves from them entirely, like the U.S. did. I
I think that's a mistake.
And I think that's better.
How do you support a dictator and justify it?
You don't support him, but you don't cut yourself completely off from him.
Yeah, you don't punish
it's not
the
an
people
either
of
or.
the country.
The people are getting punished anyways. They're getting punished regardless.
I know, but tourism, provides dollars for people, and the U.S. was restricted from touring down there, to going there, right? The American people,
very good
right?
reason.
So. Well,
they imposed sanctions because, what was that whole thing called when they were bringing the arms over and they had that whole huge embargo. What was that?
It wasn't sanctions. It was a full-out embargo, which is another one of these things that are absolutist. And I don't, even with Iran, we deal with them, right? Like we lift sanctions gradually as in exchange for
maybe
things.
Kennedy should have put a time frame around it, but they're dealing with it now with Obama. So
but it's going to reverse
thing
Trump.
Called when Russia was coming over and Kennedy was going to nuke Cuba.
Oh,
it was
Bay of Pigs.
No, not Bay of Pigs.
Bay of Pigs was before.
Oh, sorry.
Cuban Missile Crisis.
This was after.
Yeah.
The Cuban Missile Crisis, right?
That's it. Thank you. So because of that, there was some punishment, and then basically
absolutely.
we help support a dictator. We're not really supporting their people. Their people are suffering regardless of whether our tourist dollars go there, because guess who gets the tourist dollars? The Castro crowd. If you've read Animal Farm, it's precisely like that. So
the
general population does not benefit from the tourist dollars.
The thing that really pissed me off.
But I still think Canada had the better position than the U.S., I think, right?
We're nicer people. However, we're still supporting
we're more neutral.
We're still supporting corruption.
Yeah.
So don't idealize the dictatorship.
Every country has this corruption and
not to that
thing, right?
not to that degree.
Yeah.
So Castro's still a fucker. The government's still bad. The dictatorship is still awful. It sucks for the people. However, does the U.S. interfere? Now, Obama has opened things up. So I will say that's better, but the people are not better off to this day. And the thousands and I'd say millions that died trying to cross over in the boats to escape the poverty.
Well, not millions.
And not because of the USA, because of the dictatorship.
Not just poverty, probably threats of their lives and stuff like that too.
Yeah. It is a dictatorship. You don't speak out against Castro. You don't make more money than you're supposed to. If you're starving, you starve. You don't complain. So.
But they are allowed to start small businesses now, if I'm not mistaken.
You have to you have to apply for certain things. There's certain laws against it. There's it's horrible.
It's a baby step.
I don't think with these people running things, I'm not sure Castro's brother is going to be any better because they quite enjoy being billionaires. Castro was freaking rich. The family is rich. The elites are rich. There's still the majority that are starving. So, and they quite enjoy having the power they do, the people that are in power, the people that are rich. And they will keep the people down, the majority, so.
Yeah.
So, Castro died. Not much will change.
Yeah, what really ticked me off was people saying, they had improved healthcare and schools and blah, blah, blah.
No.
Yeah, you can do that without all the bad stuff, like firing squads.
No, their healthcare is not great. Their education is not great. If you go there and see for yourself, if you listen to CBC News, if you listen to the people, there's no freaking paradise there. Medical, educational, or otherwise. If you get trained as a doctor, you get peanuts. You'll get more stealing money from your brother who works at the Cuban, the factory and steal some cigars. And one guy panhandles now. He makes more money than what he got educated for. So, but you can't take tourist dollars and take them to the bank and cash them in unless you have a certain kind of ID. So it's pretty stringent there on how much money you can make ever.
Okay, so we triggered her. Triggered Twyla.
Triggered all podcast long.
And Trudeau didn't, did he address that other than just kind of doubling down or dismissing the criticism?
Well, no, he admitted that Castro
that.
was a dictator and but he didn't, I don't know. It wasn't very satisfactory.
The most ridiculous thing that came out of this so far? Okay, so Trudeau and his wife got married. They had their little honeymoon in BC. 9 months later, they had Justin.
Oh, yeah.
Then his brother came along. So there's pictures of Trudeau holding...
No, you mean Castro holding
Justin Trudeau's brother, who's now dead. And they're trying to say that's our prime minister, and Mrs. Trudeau had a baby with Castro.
Yeah, that's just dumb.
It was absolutely ridiculous.
That is crazy.
Something that was really funny that came out of this was the Trudeau eulogies.
Oh, right.
Here's one from Jason Markusoff from Maclean's magazine. While controversial, Darth Vader achieved great heights in space construction and played a formative role in his son's life.
Exactly. I'm sorry, Trudeau, you deserve that.
Andrew Coyne from the National Post. While a controversial figure, even detractors recognize Pol Pot encourages renewed contact between city and countryside.
This is why I'm not very happy
morbid.
with Trudeau right now.
So there was a lot of jokes going on about his eulogies, and yeah, it was pretty bad. Even Marco Rubio heard about it and said, is this a real statement or a parody? Because if this is a real statement from the PM of Canada, it is shameful and embarrassing. Yeah, I have to agree with Rubio on this.
Isn't that sad? See, there's no those unholy alliances.
Yeah, I have to actually agree with somebody from the Republican Party.
Thanks, Trudeau.
Yeah, thanks, Obama.
Thanks, Trudeau.
All right, that's all I got.
Sounds good. The Dakota pipeline, Obama has signed something blocking the pipeline from going forward through underneath that lake.
Yeah.
And such. So they're going to work on a reroute and other things. But for now, the natives are calling it a win.
Yeah, they are.
So that's all I got.
Rerouting it seems like a very reasonable thing to do to me.
And Obama had said previously, they're gonna. This is what you do, and this is. I'm gonna sign something, making sure. So
good.
All right. Well, I think we're good.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Yeah.
Night. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
The triggered feisty Twyla.
The internalized misogyny. Why was I internalized misogyny?
You're the one who suggested it.
Internalized. Yeah, why? I can't remember. There was some posting on Facebook, and I can't remember why I said that now. Just been a few things this week, obviously.
And I'm just supremely bigoted. There we go.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. That came from
the supremely bigoted, irreverent Dr. Randy Tyson. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 letters in front of my name.
Oh, and I should be getting my official whatever for the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster.
Oh, there's gonna be 2 of us.
Yeah.
No.
I have to try.
It's a start your own podcast.
You got to pay your $30. I won mine at a CFI event, so you might have to. I think it's $30, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to get your ordination.
It's a couple of years now.
And that's through C5. Where do I sign up?
I don't know exactly.
Yeah, you can just look for it online.
Just Google it. Yeah.
On December 22nd is at Kilkenny's is CFI's solstice party.
Yep, and next week we're having Tom Leeds on. We better.
Oh yeah, we got to get on to.
Yeah,
we better tell Tom.
Yeah, he knows because I've been, back and forthing with him on Facebook. So yeah.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, but I screwed up because I, for some reason, didn't think it was.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I somehow missed a week. Yay for me. Yeah.
Wow, some party.
Anyway.
Okay. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.